also be sharing our experiences of how we got selected last year into GSoC and how we like did all the like stuff over there. So I guess this is so I'll start. Yeah, yeah, Tatkal.
Okay, yeah. So the biggest question over here is what is open source? So I guess this might be like a relatively new term for a lot of you guys. So open source को like if I describe it in like very simple words, then basically it is any software or any piece of code which is publicly available. So for example, a lot of you guys, especially the comms and IT ka people, would have made some own personal projects and you guys work it out, put them up on GitHub or some other place. So any such code which is publicly available is known as an open source software. So इसमें along with your personal projects, there are actually some big like major कंपनीज एंड और लाइक जिन लोग ने ऐसे लाइक खुद का सॉफ्टवेयर एक्सेट्रा बना के ऐसे ओपन सोर्स किया है सो लाइक open source is all about the community and the collaboration over there because you like basically everyone who like works for open source doesn't get paid for it. It like it is totally a voluntary thing where you like you can contribute to it and you get like a lot of learning things and all coming back to you. But there are some other programs like GSoC is there, then other MLH, Outreach, and all other which actually pay you for it also. So we'll come to that on a later stage. But for now, you can just know that open source is anything that is publicly available, and unlike you can work on it. So like you can change anything over there, or you can add your own code, or you can like if you know any known bug in that code, then you can also report it over there. So the open source contributors and the maintainers can fix it. Now coming to that, so contributor and maintainer might be a new term for you guys. So like there are certain open source jargons which like you guys might not be like known with. So like we'll go with them right now. So you can see them on the screen. The first one is a PR. So anyone over here who is in Unicode might know the meaning of a PR, which is a pull request. So basically, if you have your code on GitHub, then if anyone wants to contribute to it and if they make any change and they submit like a so like in very simple words, a pull request is like your own like a submission of your code to the original code of that software or the tool. So if you want to make any modification or anything, and if you want to submit it to the code owners, then that is known as a pull request, which is generally like said as a PR in like a short form terms. Other than that, the second term is a contributor. So contributor is basically anyone who contributes to the open source organization. So like that's a very obvious thing, but one key aspect is that a contributor can be anyone. So it doesn't have to be any employee of that open source organization or like any special person. So if you want to like wake up from your bed right now, yeah, we'll come to that also. So like if you guys want to like just feel like okay, abhi mujhe kuch naya karna hai, abhi I want to add like something new to say Python. So if you like just go to GitHub, go to the Python ka repo, and if you contribute something over there, then you yourself can also become a contributor of say Python or whatever software you guys contributed to. And an organization is basically so company is a very what do you call it a corporate term for the like any owner of a software or something. So open source mein, because it is not like a corporate environment, and over here it is more about the community and and like because they want to keep it open to everyone and because they are not getting paid for their work, we call it an organization instead of a company. So that is just one key jargon to like look out for. And yeah, so someone raised a very important point, like we forgot to introduce ourselves, so that is like on us. Before Puneet, I'll start with myself. So currently, I'm a final year computer science student from DKJ Sangvi, and I'm also the core member of Unicode. And like last year in 2021, I participated in Google Summer of Code, and I was selected for a company called Joomla, which is an open source content management system. So yeah, we'll come to that later. And I'm just here to like share you guys as to what all you can do, like how you yourself can get into GSoC. And trust me, it is not that big of a challenge. But yeah, I like I don't want to spoil everything right now, so I'll save some part for later. And Punit, yeah, you can go ahead now.
Yeah, so hello everyone. I'm Puneet. I'm also a B as Yatharth is. I was I got selected last year in GSoC for the organization CC Extractor, where I was working for media decoders and subtitles. So at the end, we'll go through what we did and how we started and everything. So for now, we'll just introduce to you you guys about open source and GSoC and what the exact process is and everything. So I guess
Yeah, thank you, Punit. We can go to the next slide now.
yeah.
And thanks for reminding us. And also, the recording will be available to you in the future. So yeah, we share the link and all with you guys.
Yeah, so what is Google Summer of Code? So Google Summer of Code is a international like program which is organized by Google every year. It is like basically Google is the organizer and like a lot of organizations participate in it, and wherein like the students can work for the organizations, and the payment and everything is done by the Google. So why does Google organize this summer of code? Like what benefits does Google get from organizing and helping open source development? So basically, every year Google uses a lot of open source technologies in their own devices and hardware and stuff. In Android, for example, is an open source operating system which is used by Google and which is used by a lot of mobile phones all around the world. So Google gets a lot of benefits by using the open source software, which it gets for free, and it saves billions of dollars on by using open source software. So that is like one of the motivations for Google to like conduct this program every year and like to get innovative solutions out of students each year. So normally it's for students who are 18 plus, but this year for the first time it is also for working professionals. If you are working under some company, even then you can apply, because due to the COVID scenario, a lot of people are trying to get into like new jobs and stuff. So Google is helping them out and helping them and allowing them to go or like participate in Google Summer of Code this year. And also yeah, so the Google Summer of Code is not an internship like many people think it is. An internship, and they after completing it they do mention it on their resume, okay, they interned with Google, but this is not the case, and Google recommends you to call yourself a Google Summer of Code student rather than an intern at Google. So at any point you cannot claim that you interned with Google. So yeah, that's the case with Google Summer of Code. Yeah, go.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Panit. So yeah, so this slide is about why you should aim for a GPSoc. So this is like a very obvious thing for a lot of you guys, but for those I just summarize the first point over here. It sounds very wordy and very statistical, but to present it in a very simple way, each year around 20 to 25% of the applicants get selected by GSoC to work under any of the organization. So that is in a way, it is like a 1 in 4 chance to get selected for this program, which is like known worldwide, and it is also reputed by all the international MNCs and the startups and all also like look after the GSoC students. Also, like if you are ever planning to apply to any university, or if you want to get into any of the open source like the core thing, where if you want to work for them like as an employee, which does happen under some cases, then uh, this GE, then this Google Summer of Code is the way to go for you. And yeah, so like your chances of getting selected are really high. Coming to the second point, it opens your chances for getting a lot of future opportunities. So I just want to say one thing. So right now, I'm actually attending this meet on a MacBook, which was given to me like back time my internship thing, where I got selected only because I was a student for GPSoc. So like you guys can know how like impactful it could be so like that is like a huge thing, and like we'll also go into more depth about the opportunity and the door that it opens on a later slide. So yeah, we'll come to that. Other than that, you also get mentorship from an industry experts. So for me, I was working under like an old lady who was from Germany and who had been a software engineer for like over 40 years. So she had like 40 years of experience, and she was communicating with me daily, and like she was also helping me in like learning new stuff and gaining new experience and all that. So like you get to work with people like these. Along with that, like I also worked with someone who was a Google developer from Denmark. I worked with someone who was also working on like marketing and sales, and he belonged to say like either England or London. So like you get at the point like you get to interact with a lot of outside India ka people, and you're also like exposed to the work culture and the environment over there. Then you get to build a great contact network. I cannot stress more on this, but if you ever want to land a good job, then the most important thing for you is a referral. And to get a referral, you actually need to have a very strong contact. Like you need to know someone who's already working at that like MNC or whatever that place is. So for that, Google Summer of Code is like a great way to go forward with it, because all the students and all also like make their own groups and stuff like that. So if you get like connected with those kind of people who are like similar to you, and even they are dedicated, and even they got selected for GSoC, then it is very much likely that one of them will be a future CEO, or even like you could be one, or like even they could be like working at great places. So for example, currently some of the Google Summer of Code alumni of last year are working at Google as a full-time employee. Some of them are working at AMD, some of them are working at Red Hat, which is a Linux distro, and like a lot of such people are actually working at all these big companies. So getting a reference and all is very easy for you. And lastly, so this is the most important point for like many of you guys, and especially for me, because I am a Pakka Gujarati. So you get like a lot of money out of this project. So for example, yeah, so there are basically two types of projects over here. One is a small project and one is a large one. The small project would pay you like around 1,500 USD for working a period of 12 weeks. So this is say around 1.1 lakh for just working like a little less than 3 months, and the second one is like a $3,000 plan for the large projects where you have to work for 22 weeks approximately. So it's still like better than like any internship or anything that you can get over here. So like there is a lot to gain, and there is nothing to lose from missing out other than that you missed out. Uh, cool. So yeah, Punit, if you want to add something over here, then go ahead, or else you can move on to the next slide.
No, I guess. Yeah, so I'll just go over on like how GSoC works, and then I'll go into detail with everything over the whole timeline with dates and everything on our later slide. So this is just a overview of it. So at first, first the organizations apply to be a part of GSoC. So why do you think organizations want to like be a part of GSoC? It's like because they get a lot of motivated students, and they their bugs and issues are fixed, and new things are being worked at the organization, so they find it very beneficial to participate in GSoC. And yeah, so first the organizations apply, and then Google chooses according to its own parameters which is had. So last year in 2021, 199 organizations were chosen to be a part of the Google Summer of Code program. And then once the organization list is released, then all the contributors, like all the students, can start preparing their proposals, and you select which organization you want to work with, and you prepare a proposal for that organization, and for some specific idea under that organization. And then once you send your proposals, the organization, then they do the selection under them. And if you get selected, then you are paired with a mentor. Like you will get a mentor under whom you will be working with, and you will be like reporting daily or weekly under that mentor. And you can ask them like your doubts and stuff, so they'll be the mentor for the whole program. And once you are like selected by the organization, then you can begin coding, and your over the whole 12 weeks you can continue working with your mentor and code for code for your project. So yeah, this is the overview. I'll go in detail once we get to the time another slide. Yatharth, you can continue.
Yeah, can go to the next slide. Okay, yeah. So selecting the right organization. So yeah, before we start with this, I just have like a small activity for you guys. So on your screen, you might see like a lot of logos on the left side, like the CAD one, the Git one, the Mozilla one, and all. I just want you guys to go through them and just let me know, okay, इनमें से कितने logos like you guys already know before like beforehand. So इसमें से if you are like familiar with any of these tools, then just उसका एक count लो and they can just write that count in the chat like after you're done with it. So like I just want to know okay like how familiar you guys are with all these companies. Okay, nice. So Alan said 3 to 4. Nice. Anyone else? Yeah, Punit, yeah, just give them like half a minute or so to go through them. Okay, so we have someone who knows 9. That's really nice. One with 6, 1 7, 1 6, 5, 8, nice, 7, nice, 5. Okay, so I'm getting like approximately everyone. Okay, we have someone who knows 10. That's really good. Nice. So on an average, I think everyone knows around 6 to 7 companies from these, and there are a total of say 15-ish companies over here. So you guys know already. Okay, Burano then is the leader over here with 14 known names. That's really like he is way ahead of you guys. So that's really nice. Vismay at 11, that's nice. Okay, we have a 9 or 7. So, yeah, so the background behind this activity was all these companies that you see over there on the left hand side are actually open source uh, organizations that participate in GSoC. And yeah, sorry for using the word company. I actually have to say organization, so that is my bad. But so if you guys ever want to work for any of these companies like that, it includes some of the big names like say Python, VLC, TensorFlow, Scikit-learn, the Tor browser, Ruby, and all that. So you guys can participate in GSoC. You guys can know how they work like uh, behind the scenes. Like you can know how Python works, how Python is built, how all the libraries are written in Python. So like you can get to learn a lot from them. And also, if there is anyone over here who is from like a non-comms or non-IT background, and they feel like, "Arey, इसमें तो सब वो tech organization है, how can we contribute to it?" Or like if there is anyone who feels like they are not very comfortable with coding, then let me tell you that these companies have like a wide variety of tech stacks. So for example, you'll find a company that also works with big data. You'll find a organization that works with say something like R, which is like a statistical programming language for anyone over here who's really interested in maths research and all. There is also some companies that work with very basic languages like just say Python or C or even C++. Punit worked in an organization which use Rust as their main language. So, like even that is another opportunity for those of you who are also looking into looking to go into those like Rust and other programming languages. And if there is anyone over here who wants to become like a data analyst or a machine learning engineer, then you guys have like stuff of like Apache, TensorFlow, Scikit-learn, and all for you guys. And if there is anyone who just knows basic web development or something, then even you guys can get into, say, something like Mozilla or even say my org, which was Joomla, which was just basically web development stuff. So like there is a lot of doors open for you guys, and yeah, also all the mechanical people over here might know the name CAD, the first one, because AutoCAD is a software which all of you guys use on a very regular basis. So even that is over there. So even like you guys can be a part of GSoC and contribute, like try to aim for such organization. Now, a very important thing over here is how to find the right organization for you because we know that tech stack to सारे हैं and we know that organization में भी बहुत variety है, but which one should I go for? Which one should I select? So for that, someone has actually made a very helpful tool called GSoC Analyzer. So yeah, so this is like the GitHub repository for it, and like you can also go to the screen like the images, or there is also like a link to the website over there. So like, if we go to the like the image, yeah. So we can go with the site first. So like you can see that there is a drop down over here called search by. Puneet, if you could click on that. So yeah, so over here you can search by the text tag, the category, topic, filter, or like anything like that. So like we can start with the text tag first. So yeah, just click on text tag and just search for something which is very like common, like HTML or something like that, like a very common programming language. Okay, yeah, so we have HTML5. So now you guys can see that. See, so Mozilla has like they work with HTML and they have appeared in GSoC for 10 times. Coming to that, so each and every open source organization does participate in GSoC, and they can also participate for multiple years. Yeah, and also someone has shared a very helpful link in the chat, so please go to that as well. And you can see like most of these like organizations have a very diverse tech stack, and like a lot of them have multiple GSoC projects. So like you can see the graph in the current one, which is a jQuery Foundation. There is a graph where the like in 2018 this organization selected 7 projects, which means that 7 students got the chance to be a part of like as a GSoC student to work for jQuery. And jQuery is also like a really famous JavaScript library. So all the web developers out there might know this, or you guys might have already used this at some point in your life. Even if you're not one, and even if you're just like a internet user, then you guys might have gone to several sites, and almost every second one of them would be using jQuery somewhere or the other. So like this is one way to like search for the organizations by the stack. And also one important thing over here is the number of times they have appeared. So as I explained before, all of these companies try to be a part of GSoC every year, but kabhi kabhi like it is also possible that they do not get accepted by Google into the program. So there is always some amount of risk involved as to selecting your organization. But if you want to be 100% sure, then we'll be like explaining on the timeline wala slide as to like there is a certain date where all the organizations का list is announced as to which all organizations got selected. So उस time पे you can go through the list and like finalize के कौन से में apply करना है. But if you guys want to take a head start over everyone else, and if you guys want to start early, then this is a very important point to look after. So if there is any companies or any organization जिसका number of times is really high, then that means कि it is very much more probable for them to be a part of GSoC again, because they are applying every year and उनका selection rate is really high. So you can find one of those organizations and you can start with that right now, or else you can also go to that later. And yeah, so could you also like scroll up? Yeah, so in the right side, you'll also see like a drop down for sort by. So like when if you can click on it, so here you can see that there are different like quantitative factors as to what you can sort them by. One is the total number of projects, one is the average project, one is the number of GSoC appearances. So for the projects, I think this will also be important for you guys. So if you're looking to apply in a organization like in a org जहाँ पे competition थोड़ा कम होता है, then you can sort by the number of projects, because this basically means that if an organization selects say like 10 projects, that means they will also have to select 10 students to work on those projects individually. So if they are selecting more students, then your chances of getting selected are like also equally high. So like an ideal pick would be an organization jiska tech stack you guys are familiar with, and their number of occurrences are high, and the number of projects are also high, so that you have less competition, like competition, and you have like a very high chances of like like of that or getting selected into GSoC. And there is also like a very high index. So yeah, so like high chances of your selection. um Other than that, yeah, Puneet, could you go back to the GitHub repo and scroll down to the screenshots? Hmm. Puneet, I think the screen is stuck for me. Right. So now it's visible. So basically, like over here, you can see like they are like so search the organization by name, search by text as. So all the features are given over here, and also you can go through the images. So yeah, you can see that there are certain organizations जिनका tech stack बहुत ही diverse है. So like they work under a lot of different stuff. So like there is also one for big data and stuff like that. So like This is something that might really help you guys, especially those who want to take a head start over there, like over everyone else. Yeah, Punit, I guess that covers my part. If you want to add anything over here, then please go ahead, or else you can move on to the next slide.
Uh, okay, I'll just move on to the timeline then. Yeah, so this is something really important for you guys who will be applying this time for GSoC 2022. You should remember these dates, and so at the start, like the applications for the organizations will open at on February 7th. Here the organization will submit their proposal in the application, and then Google will announce on March 7th the organizations which are like selected for the Google Support Code 2022 program. So this is the most important date. Like as soon as whenever the like organizations are announced on March 7th, you can like start looking at their ideas and their proposals for the current year, and you can start contacting the mentors and discussing about your proposals and like your ideas and projects. And yeah, so this is like March 7th is the date which you should be like on the lookout for. So after the organizations are announced, you can submit your own proposals from April 4th to April 19th. So this is like a period of 2 weeks in which you have to like submit your proposal. The deadline is April 19th. After that, no proposals are taken by GSoC. So after that, like once you submit your proposals, the organizations will go over it. The mentors will like mentors and organizations will go over the proposal, and then according to the number of slots they have available for their organizations, so they'll select which students are selected. So each organization has a different number of slots. Like it depends upon the size of the organization, the number of mentors the organization has available this year. So, for example, my organization last year had like 10 projects, but some other organization had just like 2 or 3 projects because they didn't have that many mentors as such. So it totally depends upon the organization and the number of mentors available that year. So yeah, so according to the number of slots they have, they will announce whatever students have been selected on May 20th. So May 20th, you will get your results of whatever proposals you have submitted and if you got selected or not. So after May 20th, so from May 20th to June 12th, there is the community bonding period. So in community bonding period, you just interact with the community and you get to know the whole community of the of the project. So for example, if you get selected with the Linux organization, so the Linux Foundation, so you just interact with the people who have been like working for years and years on it, and you can just take their experiences, learn from them, and just like you get to build your network basically in the community bonding period. And after so from June 13 you can officially start your coding for whatever project you have been selected. In the community bonding period you can also start coding. It's not a compulsory period. It's like an optional period where you can also start coding beforehand to get a head start for your project. So after June 13, the official coding period begins, and then in August, I guess, or in September, I guess, the final projects and are announced like after you complete it in the September after 3 months. And if you choose the longer project, so this time there are two types of projects. If you choose the longer project, then I guess in November you finish your project and then your results are announced for that time. Yeah, Yathat, if you want to add anything.
Yeah, actually, I do. So I just have like a small activity for you guys to do right now. So if you guys have your phone with you right now, then please open your phone, go to the calendar app, and वहाँ पे set a alarm for March 7th, where the accepted organization का list is gonna be announced, because this is the most important day. Like Coconut said, तो ये कर लो because this will like really help you guys. मैंने खुद ये किया था, and like this will help you know कि कब like the list comes out, and like that is the time that you have to start working on your like GSoC application, and like your contribution and all that. So like that is the so like that is, is the last like second for you to start. उसके पहले किया तो well and good, but if not, then उस time पे like you will have to start eventually. So please like set an alarm or something for March 7th, because most important day in your life. Um, yeah, Punit, we can go to the next slide.
Yeah. So we'll also answer the questions that have come up in the chat in the next slide.
Huh. Okay, so yeah, this is one of the question that is raised by a lot of you guys. So is coding important? Do we need to know anything as a prerequisite for contribution? Can we contribute as a first year or something? So as long as you guys are 18 or above, then you guys are eligible to participate in the GSoC program. And despite you being from a non-coding background or anything, you can still participate, but you guys will have to learn something. So I actually want to give an example over here, the organization where I participated. Usme, there was a person who I knew. That person only knew basic HTML, and uske alawa he didn't know anything. But even he got selected for GSoC, and like the way he approached it was that he started with his basic HTML knowledge, and he communicated really well with the project mentors and everyone over there. Then later on, he also was able to fix an issue in the code because of his HTML knowledge, and then he got selected. And then after getting selected, he actually worked on like learning new stuff, and whatever the prerequisite for that project was, he actually took it on himself to learn that, and then he like got into the like the main core programming for that project and all. And so you will have to know at least some level of programming, but even if you don't, then you guys can start. And like right now would be a good time to start, but otherwise like there are certain people who have started at a very later stage and gotten into GSOC. However, I would not recommend it for any of you guys. So please like जितना पहले start करना है कर लो, but just like some basic coding knowledge you guys will need to get. And actually that also depends on which organization or which tech stack and which organization and which project you want to contribute to. So there could be some projects जहाँ पे brainstorming and thinking का involvement ज़्यादा होगा as compared to coding. But anyways, like coding का basic knowledge, so you will need to have, which you can easily get from any crash course or something. And so the second point on this slide is basic Git and GitHub skills. So Git and GitHub is like a version control platform where you can like store certain versions of your code. And if you're a contributor, okay, wait, so like if I put it in a very simple words that anyone can understand, then Git is basically like Facebook for your code along with our storage. So say something like Facebook plus Google Drive for your code. So you can store your code on GitHub. You can update it if you ever want, and it will also keep a track of what changes and modifications you made. So if any of you guys are like unaware of GitHub, then just go to github.com and go through the site. It's like pretty interesting to look at, and there are a lot of videos and all available that can teach you Git and GitHub. And like I will say that you need to spend like a maximum of 40 minutes to learn GitHub like a pro, and उससे ज़्यादा एक भी minute like डालना ना कहीं पड़ेगा. All you need is just 40 minutes of your time. So just one single video, and you will be good to go with all your GitHub concepts. So it's it's no major rocket science or anything. So yeah, so I would also recommend the first years to participate in this, because there has been like multiple students who were in their first year and they actually got selected for GSoC. if you want me to name someone, then there is someone called Kunal, and he is also like a YouTuber. So he became a YouTuber because like he got selected in GSoC in his first year, and then he also made a video about it, which blew him up. So like you can also participate as a first year. All you will need is some willingness to learn and motivation to get into, and motivation to bother, because like you guys have a 1 in 4 chance of getting paid like a very healthy sum, and like opening doors to a lot of future opportunities. So, uh, and coming to some frequently asked questions over here, do I need to be an expert at the organization's tech stack? Absolutely not. Like I said before, you can also learn on the go. So all you need is like you need to be sure on what you want to do, and as long as you know the path, you can like go and learn on the way. So like that is not a problem. Do I need to know the organization beforehand? This is also like a big no. So the organization where I took part in, which was Joomla, that might not be really popular with you guys, because it like yeah, Monstack will also be enough. So Joomla is like a organization which works on very legacy codes such as PHP and stuff like that. So I never heard of their name before GSoC, but after I completed it, I like I got to know the massive scale on which they run and stuff like that. So you guys do not need to know them before, and you can start working on it as soon as the GSoC list is released. So you guys don't need to know or be familiar with them before. Does being from a non-IIT college impact my chances? So yes, like this is a very frequently asked question, but the answer over here is a big no, because I feel that like more than half of the students who get accepted in GSoC are from a second or a third year college, but there are also a lot of IIT kids who come into GSoC and they grind for that spot. And yeah, so IITs and all, you'll find a lot of them in these like the organizations and all, but your chances will not get impacted if you're from any other college. And do non-CS or IT students stand at a disadvantage? Again, no, because there is another person that I know who was from EXTC branch, and there is one person who I know who was from a chemical branch, and both of them started to learn programming ka thoda basics, and both those guys also got selected in GSoC. So you can be from any background, any field, with a willingness to learn, and you'll easily make it into GSoC. Um, Punit, if you want to add anything, or if you want to go to the next one.
Yeah, so also I like to add my own story where I myself, so I worked on subtitle decoding. That was my project. I had to like port the existing subtitle decoder from C to Rust. So before starting, like when organizations were announced for last year, I had no idea what subtitle decoding was. So when I first came across that project, I had to learn like from the basic from the start, like what subtitle decoding is and how does it work and everything. And even then I did get selected. So it's the same thing, like you need the willingness to learn. Like if something is there and if you don't know about it, then are you willing to learn that in whatever time provided to you. So basically, even if you don't know stuff, you can start and learn after you come across that project, and even then you can get selected. So it's not like you have to know everything from the beginning only. Yeah, so I guess we have covered this point, and now I'll move on to proposals. So first we'll just go over our proposals, and then we'll tell you about a few other stuff. Yeah, Tha, you can go over yours first.
Yeah, sure. So this is the most exclusive content that you guys are getting. So generally, no one ever shares their
just a
proposal, especially with
just a second.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, yeah, I'll check on my screen only. Yeah, just let me know if my screen is visible. Okay, wait,
Yeah,
I
it's
think I clicked somewhere where I shouldn't have. Okay. Yeah, I hope my screen is still visible though.
yes, it is. Huh.
Uh, huh. So, so this is my proposal which I made, and So like the way we are gonna go about this right now is like so first things first, there are actually certain things over here. For example, like all the organizations already have like a predefined format for their proposal. So if you Google something, for example, my organization was this Joomla. So if you search for something like say Joomla GSoC proposal template, then you could find like a lot of helpful links, especially the official ones like this one, where you can find what all they expect to be there in your project proposal. So like your contact information, your project information, your familiarity, where like you have to
Yeah, just
describe.
somebody saying your screen isn't visible. Can you reshare 1 second?
Sure, I'll do it again. Uh, yeah, is it visible now?
It's visible to me. Is it visible to everyone else? Yep, I
Okay,
guess you
cool,
can
cool,
continue.
perfect. Yeah, so like you can just Google search for something like your organization name space GSoC proposal. So something like Joomla GSoC proposal template, and then you can find like a lot of links. Some of them are also the official documents, and you can go through them where like they actually describe or like a, a, a given tech template for you to start with. Like for example, yeah, they ask for my contact information, my project information, and stuff like that. So based on that, I made this proposal for myself, and this is totally made on Google Docs, and I verified the sentences and all using Grammarly. So like, and it was the free version. So yeah, so you don't need to like invest anything or use any special tool for this. The tech template over here is also one of the basic like the Google Docs are given tech template only. So like I started with like a little about me. So this is something that actually I should have reduced on, because they do not need to know a lot of background information about you. All they want to know is that who you are, from where you are, and how, and like why you are interested to work in this organization. So this is certain like some place where I feel I should have like cut short upon. The second part that I added over here was my strengths, where I actually described why they should select me. And right now, thinking about it, like this is something that I totally should have avoided over here, because this is basically just time waste for them, because they do not want to know about my strengths or anything, but they want to know more about why they should like select me, as to like why I am the perfect person for this organization Joomla. So this is also something like could be like a generalized stuff hoga, then I would recommend you guys to either skip it or cut short on it. So this is also something that I should have reduced on. This is my skills part. This I added over here because it was also given in the tech template, which was like given by them. So yeah, like they actually like this is one of the important reason for my selection, because Yapi I actually make sure to include all the Joomla ka tech stack, along with certain extra stuff that I knew. So because of this, they actually knew that I know my stuff inside out, and they were actually more inclined towards selecting me because of this part. Moving on, my open source history. So this is also one more thing which they actually do expect you to write. So a lot of you guys might be beginners or newbies to open source. So you guys can totally avoid this. But if you have like participated in any open source organization or done anything similar in the past, then you should mention it over here, and it also includes any of your personal projects which are currently hosted on GitHub or in any other places. So this is an important part. Uh, then the next part is my motivation for contributing. This is also one of the important things. So over here, I I just like elaborated on as to why I'm enthusiastic to work on GSoC and all. So like I wrote about how I was actually working on a CMS project, which was a personal project just for myself, and like that already like inspired me to like dwell further into this tech stack and the domain, etc., etc. So this is one of like the small things. And uh, the next part was my reason for selecting Joomla and in this project. So this is also like some of the extra stuff which you can add or you can skip on it, but I I feel that this is something which would be good if you add, because like each and every organization has multiple projects, so like you have to be clear as to why you want to go with one of those projects. Over here I just elaborated on like how I'm interested in what the project wants to bring about, and how it will also benefit me in like learning new stuff, and like yeah, I just have to explain how this fits into my career trajectory over here. Then is the project background, and don't worry, agar, like if you guys think that all this information is like too much to take in, then ये सब जो भी यहाँ पे है, it is already given on their application like format only. So you just have to pick it up from there, and like you just have to make it more personalized towards you, and like elaborate on stuff that distinguishes you from all the other applicants. So project background is also something that I could have skipped. Theme of the project, this was given in their okay, so this is a very important part. So when the project our list is announced, it is actually done along with an theme of the project, which is like it is shared along with it. So for example, I just search for Joomla GSoC, and you will find that there is a Google Server of Code page for it. And whenever these projects are announced, they actually have like certain documentation where like they have okay, so I don't think, yeah, yeah. So they have something called idea list. So you can go to this link, and over here they'll explain what the project is all about. So this will be different for all the organizations, but you will find this button there on all the organizations ka page. So in this idea list, you can read about the projects that they have, and what change these projects want to bring about. Now, something that I noticed happens very frequently over here is that the project idea and the description will be like a very vague thing. So, for example, if you go over here, then accessibility, they have written that they want to improve on the accessibility features in the Joomla keyboard navigation. So, just reading this, you guys would feel कि इसके तो बहुत सारे implementation हो सकते हैं, and we do not know like which dark direction to go forward with, and this is like a very important thing that they want to look in your proposal. So basically I would recommend you guys to be like be totally creative with this. So if you guys have any idea bhale wo out of the box, or even if it is sort of cliche, then also like you guys have to work on it, and like start with that imagination, usko explain karo, and explain like why you want to go with that particular direction. And also यहाँ पे like you guys just have to improvise on yourselves. एक बहुत ही जनरल स्टेटमेंट है, उसको you'll have to convert into a fixed idea which you'll find over here. So this is what I came of it. So yeah, the like one part of my project was making a cookie manager. So so like over here I made an entire flow chart as to like what could be the flow of this cookie manager ka tool, which you can see over here. The flowchart things was like, so all my mentors were really i- impressed by the fact that I actually make these flowcharts, because they were very easy for them to go through and understand. And like this is something that I will like definitely recommend you guys to do as well. So कुछ भी चीज होगा, then make a flowchart of it and explain them what like what flow, or like what thing you want to do in your project. So like I don't know the term for it right now, but yeah, so basically that, like, make more flowcharts. Uh Moving on, yeah, this is just an explanation of the entire flowchart thing. So I'll just skip through that. But like it is also really important for you guys to be as descriptive as possible, and do use jargons whenever possible. So अगर उनका कुछ internal word होगा, so for example in Joomla certain jargons were say modules, plugins, etc. So you guys will see that in a lot of places have actually used certain words like modules, plugins, and like stuff like that. Like yeah, so pieces was also one of their this what do you call jargon. So ये सब jargon है. If you guys want to be more familiar with it, then you can read through the documentation or go through their GitHub page and all that. Like you guys will easily find more information on this anywhere. So this is just me explaining the flowchart. Then over here, I also made like a mock UI of that entire thing. So I actually took an existing UI from the Joomla ka admin dashboard, and on top of that, I kind of photoshopped my stuff. So like whatever I wanted to plan, the expected output of it. And I also made certain more stuff like on Figma and all. Like this would be like a new modal that I wanted to add and like stuff like that. So this is basically related to web development. So yeah, so like this is more certain like some UI stuff and images. Then here I also added another idea which I wanted to implement, but then I received some feedback from them on my proposal, and they told me that this idea might not be very feasible. So because of that, I also like scratched it out. So this is also like a very important point. Your proposal will not be totally made by you. You will have to like make certain parts of like you'll have to make certain drafts of it, and your draft over you'll have to share that to the project manager, and then they will go through your entire draft, and then they will help you wherever they feel you are lacking. So like it won't be like a totally one-way process, but like it will be more like a two-way thing where you will come up with something and then they will help you improve upon it using their expertise in this domain. So like this is just like continuing with the same thing, and I also like it's down certain difficulties which I wasn't sure how I could fix. And yeah, so for certain things, I also like came up with certain possible solutions and all. So this kind of generic stuff, and this is the second project. So like my project had five parts, so this was the second part of my project, and it kind of follows us like a similar structure where first I like added certain flowcharts and images of like mock UI of what I want to implement over here. Then I like explain them. Also wrote the advantages and the disadvantages and an alternate idea for it. So all that came over here. This is the third part of the project, and there is also a fourth part of the project. And I also like wrote certain files and folders that I'll have to modify. So like this was my way of showing them that I actually know the code. I've gone through their entire repository, and I know where to find stuff. So that like I kind of explained it over here in a very subtle manner. Then yeah, again the files will be modified. So yeah, the same structure for the fourth and the fifth idea. Then comes the milestone. So this is one place where I did a very pathetic job, because what should have been like done over here is your milestone is basically an like a expected timeline that you come up with for your project. So you have to be as descriptive as possible. And over here, what I did it was I just put the five project part ka name, and I just like give a random date and the time assigned to it, which shouldn't have been done over here. So like a good example over here would be like a very descriptive thing where I actually like explain the entire timeline week by week or even day by day अगर possible हुआ तो या फिर like at least some more level of elaboration should have been done over here, which I skipped. So that is something which you guys could like take into account from benefits of my work to Joomla. So this was also another thing which was given in their project tech template, so I added it. So like I just wrote certain stuff like I fixed certain codes, I reported certain bugs. I also made an external plugin for Joomla, which is like similar to a WordPress plugin. Like it is something that you can add to your website. So all that I wrote over here, and my familiarity. So I just listed down certain issues and all that I fixed over here. Um, and yeah, so I also wrote a blog on it. So I like even added the link over here. And yeah, so this was like a very extra thing that I did over here. Like I wrote a lot of extra sentences on and all, but basically like even this part could have been cut down a little more. And my take on development of a feature, this is totally इसको प्लीज मत डालो, ये सब मैंने बहुत ही जनरलाइज स्टफ यहाँ पे डाला था, like how I would go about taking a problem statement and debugging down it. Totally not recommended to do this. Asking those, don't add something like this also. I just wrote, okay, I believe in researching before asking. So like reading it now in front of you guys makes me feel like, why did I do this, why did I add this? But yeah, so even this is something that you guys should like you skip. And qualities I look for in my mentor. So I even this is something that they did explain in the project, a thing that I like I should add it in my proposal tech template. So I just wrote like certain kind of not generic but certain specific stuff of like they he should help me like find the answer before spoon feeding me and like stuff like that. And I do not expect them to be available 24/7, but I want them to be there whenever I need some help and just like stuff like that. And community engagement is how I interacted with them and stuff like that. So even this was another thing that they wanted to see in my proposal. And other commitments. So if you have any extra internship or anything going on simultaneously, then do write it over here. It does not affect your chances of getting selected because I know people who have managed an internship and GSoC simultaneously. Some people have also managed multiple internships along with GSoC at the same time. So, but if you guys want to hide it, then even like that is your call. So, like कुछ लोगों ने ऐसे वो छुपा के भी रखा था कि they are doing an internship. So like I'll leave that on you guys, but your commitment, like whatever you guys have, you can write over here. Like for me, I also put that like on certain days I actually had my final end semester exams. So I wrote that over here that I have my exams for a 10 day period for which I will not be available. And I also suggested like like a thing where I could start planning only before the schedule so that I could catch up on the delay that could have been caused because of this second day absence period of mine. So even that is like something that. So if you guys are asking for a leave or anything, then you can also justify it over here or something. And lastly, my commitments to Joomla. So this is also like a tech template thing which they expected me to add. And yeah, so thank you, etc. So this is like an example of a very pathetic proposal that somehow luckily got selected. And now we'll go over Punit and his proposal, which I'm sure which will be 10 times better than mine. So Punit, over to you.
Yeah, just give me a second. Just a second,
Okay,
please.
yeah, cool. Okay, yeah.
Hello.
Until Punit is here, yeah.
Sorry to interrupt. I wanted to ask, uh, y'all said that you can submit proposals for three organizations. So
Right, right,
both
right.
of y'all must have submitted for two other organizations. So do the mentors tell you why you didn't get selected or like what you could have done better?
So actually, I did not apply to any other organization because I was
Oh,
completely
okay.
focused on this, and the second reason was because I started very late, so like I didn't have enough time to like come up with a like anything for a second organization. But in case you do apply and in case you do get rejected, then you like then they always do give you some feedback on it. So like I remember that certain other people from my organization did make it to the program and they actually got like feedback on like uh, so like all these organizations have their own IRC or a communication channel. So for example, mine had something called Ring Central, some other organizations use Slack or Discord or like anything like that. So whether they actually communicate with you and they do explain you as to like how you could have improved. And also one more thing, GSoC is in the end there are a lot of other open source programs similar to it. So it is like if you do not make it into GSoC or if that happens, then you still have like a second chance of applying into these other programs, and like they always like have like similar benefits as GSoC. So my organization participated in a program called ICACS, which was right around August, and that program was like organized back by some Chinese company or something, and they were offering like a stipend of 1.5 lakhs. So like if you do not make it into GSoC, then you always have some or the other backup for you, and your knowledge and the time that you actually spent in contributing to them will definitely help you in one way or the other.
Right, right. Okay, thank you.
Punit, over to you.
Yeah. Also, Heath is asking in the chat like, is GSoC for only for coders or there's something for UI UX designers too? I think Yatharth can answer this because Yatharth did work on some parts in like UI UX, I guess,
In
accessibility.
fact, yeah, right. So my project did involve UI UX up to some extent. So yeah, there are certain programs under GSoC itself which actually deal with UI UX and stuff like that. So you guys do not have to look outside of GSoC, but yeah, you'll also find certain like places other like such as outreach, MLH, etc. जहाँ पे GSoC related programs and all भी होगा. So like yeah, so GSoC is like one place where you will find it, and other than that, you can also look into other programs. But to be specific, I don't know any organization or anything, so I cannot give you the name right now. But I'm definitely sure that projects like this do exist somewhere, and like you just have to Google and find them. बाकी मिलेगा तो definitely मिलेगा.
Yeah, so basically it won't be like totally UI UX. There will be definitely some sort of coding because GSoC has a definite like coding ka period is there for 3 months. So there definitely has to be some sort of coding, but you can definitely include UI UX in some parts for your project that you can discuss with your mentor and like the organization which you are working with. So yeah, I will go over my proposal. So it's not you have seen the यथार्थ proposal 30 pages का long proposal with flow charts and stuff. So मेरा proposal में ऐसा कुछ नहीं है. It's very simple, very basic. 10 pages का very simple proposal is there. So at the start I mentioned my personal details. You should definitely do that. Like you mention your personal details somewhere in the proposal itself, so they know and they can contact you or they can check out your GitHub and stuff. Then I went over what the proposal is about, like what the project is about. I gave the whatever the objectives are, like what I want to achieve by completing my project. So yeah, these were the objectives for my project itself. And then I went into a lot of detail about how I would be implementing my project. So like the proposed this basically is the proposed solution which I gave, like a solution I will be implementing if I get selected as a part of this project. So this is like Rust का थोड़ा details है, and how I'll be porting from C to Rust, like the decoder का part which I'm porting itself. So I just went over this. I went over like this is basically the proposed solution. One mistake I did is like adding code essay. You could just add simple code, yeah, you could add a link to somewhere else, like जहाँ पे code properly like formatted and color इसमें है. I shouldn't have added like a black background to it. It's very unreadable here. uh, उसके बाद में yeah, this is just the project details. And then there are a few sections now which were required by them that I have to include it in my proposal. So this is why the project is important for me. So I was working on Rust like beforehand, before I started like working on Google Sum of Code, and then I came across this another Rust project. So this like worked out very well for me. And then how this project will help them, like why should they accept me and why should they go with this project. So this project was also about like fixing all the bugs that were there in the implementation, and also adding a lot of documentation to their currently based code. So this is how it helps them also. And then as Yathat had mentioned that he didn't make a proper timeline week wise, this is something you should definitely do. You need to make a proper week wise timeline where you specify ki every week, or maybe you can go 2 weeks at a time, what exactly will you be doing. So this needs to be, you have to like spend majority of your time in thinking about what it will be. You can't take a lot of time for a very simple part. Like for example, you can't take 3 weeks for just writing documentation stuff. You have to like you have to justify like why 2 week लगेगा, तो 2 week क्यों लगेगा for doing this part of the project. You have to like justify yourself for that. So this is how I justified. I This was my timeline for all the weeks like I was going through with dates and everything. Then there's also evaluation periods in evaluation. So there are two evaluation periods. There will be a mid evaluation period which is called the first evaluation, and then at the end there's also another evaluation period. So evaluation is basically you just fill out a form. You fill out a form, your mentor fills out a form, and your mentor marks you as passed or not. based on whatever you have done in the previous week. So for example, in the first evaluation period, यहाँ पे the mentor will mark me on whatever I have done until the 5 weeks में whatever I have done, उसके लिए the mentor will mark me. And yeah, so उसके बाद में after the first evaluation you continue working for the like the remaining weeks. Then you have your final evaluation period. So in the final evaluation period, the mentor will mark you have successfully completed the Google Summer Code program or not. If he marks you no, then you will be declared as failed, and if he marks yes, then you will be declared as passed. And yes, you should definitely also mention that if and when you will be absent in between the GSoC official timeline. So I was absent because the college में exams था, इसके लिए I was absent. If you are going on some short vacation like 5 days, 10 days, like 2-3 days, बीच में कुछ है any function or anything you are attending and you won't be available for a specific period of time, then you should uh, mention it beforehand, and your mentors should know about it. You shouldn't like just leave one day like I'm going for vacation and I'll be back after 7 days. That they should be discussed beforehand with your mentor. It's okay, yeah, you can take vacations, but you just have to discuss it beforehand with your mentors. Then there's just some section about me, who I am, and my previous contributions. So contributions there, some most of the organization will require you to have some kind of contribution to that organization itself. If you don't have, then you can definitely mention others also. So these were the contributions that I had done in the CC Extractor organization itself, and these were uh, the contributions that I had done in some other organizations previously beforehand. And then this is just like my previous works. Like this is like the CV part of the like proposal where I just sketched out my previous work experience, my projects, why I'm choosing this organization, and also after the GSoC completes, I would like want to continue with this project and want to take it further. So this was my proposal, like 10 page ka simple short, no flowcharts or anything. I could have included one, but मैंने तभी I didn't think about anything. So basically, the major things are you detail out what your like proposed solution is, and you justify and detail out what your timeline is. These are the really important sections of that. So I move on to the presentation. So the so getting selected, the first part is drafting the perfect proposal. So the first thing is follow the rules. So almost all the organizations will have their own guidelines for creating like proposals. So for example, I can show you my organization का guidelines. So this is a CC Extractor का website, and यहाँ पे they list out your my proposal, like what should be included in the proposal itself. So at the very least, the proposal needs to have what I want to do, explain how I intend to accomplish it, and deadline and etc. Like all they have their own rules, and you can as you can see from Yatharth's and mine proposal, it is vastly different. It varies very heavily from organization to organization. Each organization have their own rules and have their own way of going about proposals. So you have to stick with your like whatever organization you have selected, you stick with them, and you like make sure you follow their all their rules. And then secondly, as it's mentioned before, as me and Nitat both mentioned it before, that you have to include a proper breakdown of milestones and deadlines, like the timeline which I just showed you in my proposal. Each week what you are going to do, and you have to like kind of also justify it, like how why will it take like 2 weeks or 3 weeks or whatever you have written it down. And third one, and the most important point, is submit it early. So the early you submit it, the more time you'll have for feedback on your proposals. So proposal is not just a one way thing. Like you just don't like create a proposal and send it and then they will like check it out. You can also you like create draft proposals, and then you can ask for feedback on that. And so your mentor can like ask you questions on some specific aspects of your proposal, or request like more details from you. So for for my example, I took two feedbacks from my mentor. So I was very early, like I think as soon as the application period began, I had made like I had completed my draft proposal, and then I asked for feedback. And after getting some feedback, so in my feedback, I actually had to change the whole timeline. Like I had to like reverse everything from my timeline. So I can show you that. Just a second. Yeah, so before the first evaluation period, so this like these 4 weeks were previously present at the start, and these 4 weeks were previously present at the bottom. And my mentor suggested me that I should go the other way around. So due to his feedback, like I changed the whole timeline of it. And yeah, so that was one of the feedback given to me by my mentor. So yeah, in similar way, like you'll as if you submit it early, then you will get a lot of feedback from your mentor, which will be really helpful for your proposal. uh, yeah, now I will go on the second slide, which is communicating and contributing. Yeah, thoughts, everyone? Okay, I guess yeah, that is not there, so I will continue on this part also. So, how do you know about what ideas are there with the with the organization, and how do you communicate with the organizations once the the organization is announced? I guess many of you guys have this question. So at start, like once the organizations are announced, they will have a list of project ideas. So I'll show you just I'll show you mine. Yeah, so this is the CC extractor 2022 ideas. This is like this is not the ideas for 2022. This is just typo here. But anyways, so these were the ideas which were there last year. So once the organization was announced, I went through this page. I looked at all the ideas. They have like description, what kind of tech you will need, what you will have to learn, and like some like difficulty level, like if it's medium, easy, or hard. So in such a way, like you'll find for each and every organization, you'll find their own idea list. So each sub organization का idea list होगा, and then you can directly look at the ideas. So this was the idea which I worked on. This was the project which I worked on. And I like looked at the idea, I looked at the like the details and how what is to be done, and what bugs and issues I have to like work on and everything. So you get a general idea of what you are supposed to work on, and using this you can create your proposal then later on. So also, so this is the first part, like you can look at the ideas for each organization. And then also on the GSoC page, you will find a place where you can contact the organization itself. So we have a Slack, like CC Extractor may we have a Slack channel for like GSoC work, with there you can come up and like contact the mentors individually, or like as a whole, like the whole organization. So just a Yeah, so we have gone through the project ideas. So each organization will have their own project ideas at the start, and so you start by compiling a list of the potential ideas that catch your interest. And so you just make a list of whatever organizations and whatever ideas interest you, and then you can like sort through them and shuffle through them and like select whatever is the best for you. Then you can contact the mentor. As I said, that each organization will have their own this like the contact page. And then so it's very different for each way. So the CC Extractor organization had a Slack, but whereas for Yathar they had a Glit channel. So it's very different. Some people might have a IRC, some people might prefer mailing them. So it's different for each organization. It will be listed on the organization, the homepage, or their own website, or their GitHub. Somewhere or the other, it will be written how you can contact their mentors. So that is how you can go about like contacting the mentors. So introduce yourself. You can ask questions related to your project, And always remember to be humble. Like the mentors also working on hundreds of other things, and they will be getting messages from hundreds of people. So always remember, be humble, and they might not reply as soon as like immediately, but they will reply as soon as possible. They also have some work and other stuff to do. So just be considerate of their time too. And then, so once you select some kind of idea that you are interested in, then you can also start contributing to their code base. So each I'll show you this one. So for my project, it was written down previously. Yeah. So there was there was a mention of whatever GitHub issues that I needed to solve. So there was a list of like issues were written down already for me. So I had to like solve these as a part of my project. Like I have to complete and fix these issues. So this is like, so you read the code base and you try to solve whatever issues are present in the code base, and you try to complete tasks also. So some organization might also require you to complete tasks. So for my organization there was an option, either I solve GitHub ka already present issues, or I complete the required tasks. uh, yeah. So now we move on to the next slide.
Hey Pranat, I'm back. Can you hear me?
ah,
Okay,
yeah.
perfect.
So uh, yeah.
Yeah, if you want to continue, then please go ahead. I'll take over from middle.
No, you can go ahead with this. I just wanted to answer this one question. So in chat, somebody has asked that do we need to fix these issues before applying for the organization? So it depends. As I said, key for my organization, it was that I had an option to either complete the given tasks which are totally unrelated to the issues, or solve one of the present issues before getting selected. So I chose to solve issues instead of doing any other tasks. But some organizations might not require you to solve issues like beforehand. So it totally depends on the organization, and like each organization will have their own different ways of selecting you. Maybe Yathat can give his own idea.
Okay, actually, yeah, I would recommend you that solving the issues and all is a very important thing, because for me, it actually played like a very important role in my selection. So, like, if you guys want to know an estimate of how many PRs I submitted, so मैंने around 29 PR वहाँ पे like submit किया था. Out of his 28 got merged. So like that is like the main reason why I feel they selected me, because like. किसी रैंडम बंदे ने अगर तुम्हारे कोड में 28 bugs फिक्स किए, तो फिर definitely like he has to have some level of knowledge. So like that is one thing that like even you guys can take back as a feedback. So हो सके उतना PRs and all solve करो. And it is similar to competitive programming. Like एक problem statement दिया है, and all you have to do is to debug it and solve that issue. So it will like help you guys, like especially those who want to look for a development ka role or an internship or anything, because this thing actually helps you more than it helps them. So yeah, so do remember that. And okay, so coming back to the main slide, uh, selection to success. So after getting selected, there are still like certain things that you have to take care of, because one, the evaluations are actually like they are, like they are actually something to be scared of. So like last year, if you guys want to know like a record of how it went, so like total starting में 1,296 people got selected, out of which first evaluation में approximately 11 were rejected. So, and if you get rejected or failed, so it means that you could be getting paid for your work, and also like your GSoC is like totally screwed now, because like you won't be able to like put it on your resume or anything after that, because you they cannot complete it. So evaluations are something to be scared of. So uske liye there are certain things that you still have to take care of. One thing is working with your mentors. So I guess हर एक organization का different communication strategy होता है, but what most of them do is that they have like chat का communication channel जहाँ पे main like all the messages and all are exchanged, and along with that there is also like a video meeting and all which happens either once in a week or like once in a month or something like that. तो वो meetings कुछ कुछ में होते हैं and they are optional because like these people are like working open source in their free time. So like your mentors and all are also not available for the entire time. Did my internet drop off? Okay, no, it's the so yeah, so like these people are actually working in their free time. So basically, meetings are not utna possible, nahi, but you have to make sure that you communicate with them regularly. And like one way I would recommend you guys to do this is so like I made a Google Sheet का file जहाँ पे हर day पे I track के what work I did on that day, and उसका एक document का link था which I actually shared with my mentor. तो वो जो document था वहाँ पे it basically had three columns over there. The first column was the current date, second column was what work I did, and the third column was for what difficulties I faced. So like this way I was actually communicating with them daily about my work progress, and also I was getting a feedback from them because like they were actually going through that entire sheet in their free time, and उसमें जो difficulty वाला column था उसको they actually went through it and they recommended me like certain stuff as to like how I can like work on that. So for example, like if I was facing any bug, that then they told me how to fix it and etc etc. Then second is your time management. Yeah, basically, like I don't think I have to explain much over here. The slide and the subtext over there kind of summarizes everything perfectly. So you just have to break your project into smaller tasks and make sure that you are like on time as to like so. You guys would have made a milestone a document at the start of your project. So you guys should try your best to stick to that. थोड़ा सा deviation is still fine. So like you guys can be थोड़ा behind schedule or ahead, but please like do not take that for granted, because in your first evaluation they will check कि तुम्हारा progress कितना हुआ है as compared to what you guys had initially promised them in your proposal. So proposal में कुछ भी like ज़्यादा what do you call it, ज़्यादा ओवर कॉन्फिडेंट मत होना, एंड यहाँ पे भी just make sure that you do follow what you committed. And yeah, so other than that, because like out of 1,000, around 11 people got rejected. So like that puts it at a 1% rejection rate. So it's not like really high. It is fairly easy to make it as long as you are dedicated and like you do your stuff properly. Now, one more thing is very important. Evaluation में, it is not like an interview, or you like you do not have to write an exam for it. All they will do is तुम्हारा जो code होगा which are actually written and submitted to them, they will go through it and they will just see that you are working. भले तुम्हारा अभी तक जो prototype है वो काम करता हो या ना करता हो, but as long as you guys have done at least something, they will have like a reason to pass you, because failing you would like mean कि उनका जो project होगा उस पे काम करने वाला कोई होगा नहीं. So like they want to like uh, submit a successful evaluation, but you will have to put in the bare minimum effort for that to happen. Uh, so kind of yeah, that's like completes this slide. And Punit, do you want to take this? Yeah, actually for this, Punit, you can start, and then like I'll go with my personal like how it benefited me after you.
Yeah. So after usually part GSoC. So what the after effects and benefits on completion. So first things first, on your resume, it's a huge thing to have GSoC on your resume. Whenever so anyway, after you have GSoC on your resume, if you apply to different places for internships or jobs, it stands out like it's the biggest thing you have on your like resume, and you also detail out what project you worked on, and if it's like on the similar role, like on what job you are applying, then it's a very instant attraction for the like recruiters. And secondly, yeah, you definitely get a lot of internship offers. Even like someone say, even if you are not like open for internship, people will come with internship to you directly. And third is like the best thing you can ever get. You just have to sit at your home and people will ask you on LinkedIn to join their startup as a CTO. Where else will you get this opportunity to just be at home and like join different startups as their CTO? This is a very unique opportunity only available to GSoC, I guess past GSoC students. So yeah, this is one thing you should definitely aim for. You should get a message after completing GSoC that somebody wants you to be their CTO. Yeah. Other than that, I would like to also tell like
Can you guys hear me? Is my net gone or is it Punit's net? I'm actually confused. I was
We
checking
can
my
hear you
phone whether.
actually.
Okay,
We
perfect,
can
perfect.
hear
Yeah,
you.
I
Yeah.
think yeah. So I think Punit's net is gone. So I'll take over from here. So like yeah, I just wanted to share like what happened to me after GKSOC. So so the day after my GSOC was completed, I actually got a message from this company called Mahamela Tech, which actually offered me an internship where I'm currently working, and like it is such a good internship because my work life hour is totally flexible, and they are actually paying me like a very healthy starter stipend, which is like way more than anyone else gets. Second thing is I actually got an email from Amazon and from Google for a SDE 1 ka full time ka role, but I actually had to turn it down because I was actually planning for my master's का education and also my DSA is totally crap. So I knew कि अगर मैं interview के लिए जाता भी तो there was no way I was gonna make the cut. So like even that has happened to me. Other than that, I've also like received LinkedIn पे messages from around 4 to 5 different startups where they actually wanted me to join their company as a full-time employee without an interview. So if you complete GSOC, then like your total life is set because interview के बिना you're getting a job and वो could be like सामने से. So nothing else can happen which is better than this. And I'm also sure that Punit के पास भी बहुत कुछ होगा which he wants to share, but for some reason I think yeah, so his internet is gone and then my WhatsApp chats got leaked. So yeah, I just continue with the presentation from here. Punit, if you're back, then just stop me and let me know if you're there. Um, Meanwhile, okay, so yeah, okay. So yeah, this is the next part. So here, like, I would like to talk about what work I did for like for my project and how it went about with me, like my experience with this entire GSOC thing. So this is like a document that I and all the students have to make after the after their GSOC project is completed. So I'll use this. So first thing that I start with is the project idea का link. So this is what I was told to work on. So this is the project 3 feature enhancement which I was assigned to. This project was actually divided among two students. Out of it's the first part. Okay, Punitya is there, right? Punitya, I'll
tell
just
me.
complete this part and then you can take
Yeah.
over for like your yeah. So yeah, so like in my project, the focus part was divided into uh, another student, and basically I had to work on the remaining four like things over here. Now, if you read them, then you'll feel like this is a very vague thing. Like placing a module on a page is currently tedious, and they want to change it somehow. How they want to change it, इसके बारे में they haven't written anything. So this is one thing where like you guys don't know how to proceed with. So you guys have to use your own imagination and come up with a creative solution for this problem that these guys are facing. So like what I would recommend you guys to do is, first step, ask them कि ये जो भी projects के सारे task है उसका priority list क्या है. So I did that, and they told me that this thing is the highest like the most important thing which they want to complete by any cost. So then for that I actually made an entire project ka plan. So this is like me describing what I want to do for this module. So like for this project, so I'll go over here. So like how I started off with, it was like I started with some background research. Research is just like a big word for googling, and just so it's not, I think, like rocket science mechanism. Like Google पे जो issue था वो search किया, and then like I found certain links where like I summarize what issue everyone was facing, and like where the scope of improvement was there, and uska links and all like I added over here, and some also extra notes. And like I can also see that my mentor has actually even like responded to me over here. So like they actually do go through this, and they also like communicate with you back as to where you can improve on if the need is there. Then I also came up with a proposed approach for it, and this is a summary of the flow. So now you guys might think कि मैंने मेरे proposal में already ये पूरा लिखा था, then why did I do the entire thing again? So one reason is that after getting selected also, you won't directly like start coding. So what will happen is, starting with there will be I'll just go back to the timeline wala slide, and you guys will see that starting with there is something called a community bonding period. Okay, so I'm not sure. Okay, so it's not over here, but yeah, see, so there is a community bonding period. So this is the time where like you get to interact with your mentors, you get to read through the organization का code documentation and stuff like that. So यहाँ पे only I like understood the project more like in a better manner, and I actually understood the deep root of what the problem was. So iske baad I like backtracked onto like what the issues were by doing my research, and जो मेरा original approach था in my proposal उसको I totally refined it over here, and I came up with a totally new thing. And that is how like I went forward with it, and like I also added some mock UIs for it and certain GIFs which will be there somewhere below. So that is what I did over here. And yeah, and like I also listed on all the pieces that I want to work on. So like this entire thing happened during my community bonding period, and my mentors also agreed, and they also like give me certain feedback on it. Like over here I made a I actually mixed out on certain point or something, so that like they actually told me that this is one place where I can improve on, and like etc etc. So like this is how like I made my entire project a proposal. And over here I actually like made like a proper timeline which was different than my old one. So यहाँ पे I went into the depths, and मैंने बराबर सब कुछ assess करके like I assign proper like days and like week wise split करके मैंने पूरा यहाँ पे किया. This is what I should have done in the first place. And so yeah, so this was that, and Nietzsche, like the same thing is repeated for my other project parts. So like this is like how I started to approach my project, and then these were the four tasks, and like I was also assigned one more bonus task, and these are my pull requests and everything. And like this is like a summary of all my work and what I did over there. Now, so one thing that I forgot to tell you guys is that what is Joomla? So Joomla is a CMS. A CMS is a content management site. Uh, if you guys want to know an example, so basically GMS, like a CMS is like WordPress is a CMS, Joomla is a CMS, and uh, it is basically any software which you can use to make digital content. So Joomla and WordPress are basically working on making websites. Especially they are focusing on the aspect of blogs and e-commerce, etc. So for example, you could use Joomla to make your own website using the help of a GUI, and over there you can also add certain extra plugins. So for example, if you search for like Joomla plugins or something, then you'll find a lot of extra like add-ons which you can add to your Joomla ka website. For example, there'll be something called slideshow rotators, e-cards, etc. So like this way, like you like this is one way that open source works. So their main software is completely open source, and open source ka matlab it is completely free, so anyone can download Joomla right now and make their own website using it, and they can also use these add-ons. Now this add-on is like a way for them to monetize their content. So like these all will be like half paid, half free type यहाँ पे होगा. So this is one way that they make money, and all the like people working with Joomla and with their coding like thing make money. And so yeah, and one more thing is that Joomla is actually written in a somewhat of a legacy tech stack. And by legacy, I mean it uses stuff like PHP, jQuery, and MySQL, PostgreSQL. Actually, so MySQL isn't termed as a legacy code yet, but PHP kind of is, and it also uses Vue.js. So you guys might think that these are really what do you call it, old and outdated technology. So this is also one more thing that I got to learn from this, because reading old code and understanding it is not an easy task. So like I got to know how you can read through the old code, understand it, work on it, and like make something which is totally new and better on top of it, which was like a major learning factor for me. And so yeah, so this was like more about my project, and in the end I'm happy to say that I was successful in completing all the four tasks, including the bonus one, and my mentors were really happy. So they approved my evaluation, and I was also invited to be a mentor for the upcoming year of GSoC. So you guys might see me as a mentor if Joomla gets selected. Um, so yeah, this is all about my project and like the tech stack and all that I worked on. Punit, I think you could share your experiences now, and like we lost your net at the part where you were like explaining the internships and the opportunity, like the things that you got. So you could also revisit that if you can.
Yeah, sure. Can you hear me right now?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So I'll just go over the internship or thing. And Yadav, can you share your screen, because I am
Okay,
facing some
no worries,
technical
no
issues
worries.
from my side.
Uh, so
Just go to अपना presentation में there's
अरे
the
हाँ
link
wait,
on
हाँ
my.
got. Uh, do you want to start with the internships and the After Effects, or do you want me to go to the
I
learning
guess
mode first?
open my link. हाँ मेरा link open कर दो.
Okay, I have to go into the present mode for this, right? Uh, huh.
And I guess view code. Click on view code.
With my back, huh? View code.
Yeah, I guess just keep this one. I'll just speak about it. So yeah, hello everyone. I'm back due to some Wi-Fi issues. So I was speaking about the internship opportunities that I got due to GSoC being on my resume. So after GSoC completed, I started applying to international internships, basically internships in US and Europe and stuff. So all like outside India internships. I wanted to try my luck to see like if I could get selected at such places. And I did actually get selected. I am currently working at a startup from London, which is very the project is very similar to what I worked on my GSoC thing, which is like related to media decoding and subtitle decoding and everything. So it's related to decode and stuff. But yeah, so they did actually mention after I got selected, they did mention that GSoC was a huge GSoC played a huge role in me getting selected for the for the internship. So yeah, it is like a huge thing on your resume, and it helps you to get like a lot of opportunity. It will open a lot of doors in for you in your future. um, yeah. So after like after the opportunities and everything, I'll just quickly go over what I did in my GSoC project. So my GSoC project was related to subtitle decoding, which is like there's a standard known as the CEA 708 standard, which is like a subtitle decoding standard for US and a few very few other countries. So I had to like basically so for example I'm given a movie, so I have a dot mp4 file movie guy. I have an mp4 file, so I just have to extract the subtitles out of it using this following this CEA 708 standard. So basically most of the code was already written. My part was porting the code from already written code in C to Rust. And while porting, I also had to observe these milestones, like I had to improve the timing of the subtitles. So you might have seen in VLC where you adjust the subtitle delay so that the subtitles appear on the same time as of the audio. So instead of like doing that, we wanted to have our decoding to be perfect already, so the user doesn't have to do that, having to add the delay and matching it with the audio. So that was one part. Then perfect rendering is basically related to fonts and stuff. So this standard is also used in Korea and China and everything, and all other countries. So their fonts need to be rendered properly. So it was related to that part, all languages, and then improving the documentation and improving the testing and everything. So basically, most I would say a lot of the code was already written, but I had to improve the code, fix the bugs and everything while like porting the whole thing, the whole decoder from C to Rust. So that was like the my whole project was related to that. And then after that, I also had to work on a lot of different extended parts. Like this was just a small part of it, and extended parts I had to re-implement the commands and everything. So yeah, I guess that's it for my side. I think if all of us, like most of the GSoC people, have written a blog or something about it, so you guys can definitely take a look at it later on, like how we achieved and how we did our projects and stuff.
Cool. So I'll go back to the slide now.
Yeah.
So yeah, the next slide is for okay. Oh, so beyond GSoC. So yeah, so open source is by no way just constricted to one program, like I said earlier. So there are actually a lot of other opportunities for you guys to try into in case like you guys do not make it into GSoC or like something like that happens. So I'll just go to this link. This is an article by this Geeks for Geeks, and you can see that like there are actually a lot of other. Wait, I'll have to do this. Skip. So there are actually like a lot of other programs. For example, one is the Digital Ocean Hacktoberfest. A lot of you guys might have already participated in this, or like you guys know this, where you have to like basically you guys have to submit for PRs to any of the organization, like any open source code base, and then you guys have like an opportunity to get like a free like limited edition t-shirt, or you guys can also plant a tree rather than the shirt cutting. So you guys can go for any one of these alternatives. The second one is Google Summer of Code, and yeah, so this is the main thing that we already went through. Third one is MLS Fellowship. Now, this is also like one of the really important and the major ones. So, MLS Fellowship has like two different tracks. Sorry, three tracks. One is for software engineering, one is for open source, and one is for production engineering. So like if someone is interested in like a non-CS or IT domain, then you guys can like try to get a MLS fellowship in production engineering track. Otherwise you guys can also try for open source and software engineering. Now software engineering over here like is like a really interesting opportunity, because basically over here you get to work under places like Amazon, Facebook, etc., which are currently partnered with MLS Fellowship. But this is like thoda difficult than GKSOC, because one, it like this actually involves an entire interview phase, and also you guys actually have to go to that interview and all, and like it has thoda strict like what do you call it limitations as to how many people they can select, etc., etc. And there are also certain rumors, but these guys are kind of racist towards Indians for some reason. So they like treat us with thoda क्या कहते हैं, less importance. So like they prefer outside India people, but like you guys can still try for this because I personally know 3 or 4 kids who actually got selected into this and they worked at places like Amazon, Flipkart, etc. Sorry, Amazon, Facebook, etc. Under the MLS Fellowship का software engineering track. Second is the Google, and yeah, also I forgot to say, but this program has a $5,500 stipend. Second is the Google season of documentation. This is for those who do not want to write code. If you guys are good at creative writing and if you guys want to know how to read code and stuff like that, then Google season of documentation is for you. And this is like a brilliant opportunity for you to go into the technical writing like a career path. So over here you can like contribute to open source organize like orgs by writing documentation for them, which is really important. So you guys just have to go through the code, summarize it, and write it in a way that everyone can understand. And this also like includes translation and stuff like that. And also this is a paid opportunity. And over here, your stipend can be anywhere between say $600 to $6,000. So like this totally varies by project to project. And next is outreach. Actually, Puneet, do you want to take over from here and go to the remaining ones, or should I continue? I don't think Pandit is here, but basically, so yeah, Outreach is also another similar open source program which is more like related to GSoC. But over here, the only difference is that this is actually an internship rather than a project. So like you guys are actually like working for the like the organization where you guys are like partnering with, and it is also like a paid opportunity opportunity where you can get up to 5,500 US dollars, which is like too much. Like you can do a lot of things with this. Pranit ka Wi-Fi isn't working, I guess. Uh, Season of KD, yeah, this is also one more thing. This is also one more thing. So yeah, so the like one more thing that I wanted to stress about over here is yeah, this Girl Script Summer of Code or GSSOC. So this is like one of the most easiest entry level open source program that you guys can get into because their bar is really low. And like if you want to like get the GSoC wala experience where you want to work under certain project mentors and write your code and build something, then GoScript Summer of Code is totally for you because like they basically accept almost everyone into their program. But the only con over here is that this is like a paid opportunity. What they do is rather the top participants get paid with certain goodies and opportunities. And by the top participants, they actually have like an entire leaderboard of how many pull requests you submit and how many lines of code you have modified over there. So if you guys are one of the top 100 or the top 200 or the top 400 etc participants, then you get certain goodies and opportunities accordingly. And this is relatively easy to get into. And like I would recommend all of you guys to try for this because um, is basically like an intro to GSoC, or like it will help you in getting familiar with the fundamentals of how this open source and all works. And apart from that, certain big colleges such as this IIT Kharagpur, etc., they also organize their own open source programs such as the KOSS, BOSS, and one is for IIT Patna, that is called NJAC, and etc. etc. So you guys can like also try into this. This link will also be provided to you guys, so like you can go through this later on. And like all these opportunities over here are like really important, and like they can do wonders to you in terms of both the like the knowledge and the exposure that you get along with the value addition to your resume and your profile. Um, so coming back to the slide. So that kind of covers out the open source beyond GSoC. And now, lastly, we would like we would like to take up any doubts or any questions that you guys might have. So you can either put it up in the chat, or you guys can unmute yourself and please feel free to ask anything. And hopefully, even Punit will be able to join us soon. Okay, yeah. Um, So do we need to fix this issues before applying to? Okay, so this is another great point. So this reminds me, I'll actually guide you through how GitHub works before I go into this point. So for example, for now, I'll just search for any random open source organization which might come over here. So that like in the explore repositories thing. So like this is one such open source project called Material Kit React, which is like so this is like a UI kit where like they provide you with certain pre-built web components such as like these HTML cards and certain stuff like that, and they also have documentation and like all for it. So if you go to their issues part, so currently this is one repository which does not have any open issue, but they are all closed. So someone must have fixed all of them. But basically over here, you can go over here and you can find certain issues. For example, this one was a bug reported by this person that the links on the download page weren't working. Then someone else might have submitted a pull request, or they might have marked the bug as solved, and it was closed over here. I'll go into another search. So yeah, I'll go to Joomla right now because I'm more familiar with it. So like you can go to the issues panel over here, and you can see that there are currently 906 issues that are listed over here. And so one more thing that you guys can do over here is there are certain labels, and one of the label is called good first issue. So if you are a total beginner, or if you are someone who has less knowledge about the code base, then you can start with this good first issues. I don't think okay, wait, I'll just yeah. So this good first issue is one of the tags. So like there are currently three such issues that are linkable with this, and these are basically like good starting points for like you guys to get into the open source thing. So like you can go to this issue over here, you can read how that entire issue happens and how to recreate it by yourself, and then you can submit your code to this. Now coming back to your main doubt, which was should you fix this issues before applying to this organization. So I would recommend you that yes, before you get selected, you have to fix as many issues, because one, this helps them know that you are familiar with the code and you are totally capable of working on like their current project. And like it will like help you in representing your case as someone who is more than capable of completing that GSoC project. And also, if I go to the timeline over here, then what happens is after April this after the last date over here, that is after April 19, when the GSoC proposal phase has like completed, you guys have like a period of 1 month from April 20 to May 20, where you guys have like free time. Like तुम्हारे पास कुछ होगा नहीं इस टाइम पे करने के लिए. So what I would recommend you guys to do is in this 1 month, while the mentors are evaluating your proposals, you guys should try your best to contribute as much as you can. Because if you guys continue contributing after your proposal is made, and if others don't, then it will show the organization ka maintainers that yes, this person is like motivated to work for this project, and he actually has some like goals that he wants to achieve, because he's like contributing even though the GSoC proposal phase and all is over. So you should definitely do that. And also like you should try to fix at least 1 year to issue before your proposal phase is completed, just so that you can add that in your proposal. Because mentioning that you wrote some code which actually helped fix an issue in their software uh, carries you forward way more than you can imagine, because it actually like I said before, वो same अभी repeated information है, but like it will help you in presenting your case as to that you know what you are doing. So Um, how do I download open source? Okay, wait. Okay, yeah, so yeah, I'll go to this one. Before any tips for beginner coders, Uh, yeah, just pick up any repository, go with a good first issue, and then learn to code on the go. So, for example, and yeah, so one more very important thing that I want to stress out over here is if you are working for any such open source like issue or anything which you want to solve, but if you are unable to solve it, then you guys might feel demotivated, or you guys might not know how to proceed with this, or like you guys might not know what to do after this. So for that, I would recommend you guys to do one thing. So on each of these issues, there's actually like a button over here called subscribe. So you can click over here, and then you will be notified when if someone else adds any message or anything over here. So like by do so like by subscribing to an issue, you can actually get to know how someone else was able to successfully solve it. Like अगर किसी और ने इसका कोड सबमिट किया and if they were able to fix this issue, then you can also look at their code and like go through how they completed it. So like this is one way for you to learn something new while contributing. So ये भी चीज को ध्यान में रखो. And uh, also like I यहाँ पे थोड़ा more self promotion करूंगा मैं. So I've actually written a blog for this Joomla uh, about how you can get started with open source and stuff like that. So I'll just find where I've written that blog. But basically, like this actually highlights about how like someone who's totally new can get into GSoC and start contributing. And like for so it's like for someone who's totally new to open source can actually understand their code base and get to know more about it. So yeah, I'll actually have to find that link. I don't have it in my hand right now, but yeah, I'll check it with you guys as soon as I can. How to download open source organizations source code related to the issues. So the source code is going to be common, which you'll find in their GitHub repository. So for example, if you go to the repository, then the first tab will be for codes. This is their entire code, and there are certain different branches over here. The issue ka related code will more most likely be mentioned in the issue itself. For example, over here, they like the issue cases has started with 4.1. So this means that the issue is related with the 4.1 wala branch, and usme the issue ka more information you can check over here. So like these guys might have written like certain things, or like so, like, yeah, I don't think this one has any file. So this might be like some issue for a particular person. Yeah, so like they have actually tagged someone over here. So this issue is actually for a particular person. But basically, yeah, you will find all the information that you need to solve this issue, and the code you can find over here in this code tab. And if you want to download it, then I'll recommend you to go through the GitHub course, and that will guide you as to how you can download a repository ka code, make some modifications to it, and upload it back to GitHub, and then make a pull request and stuff like that. Can you give a rough? Okay, yeah. So that I hope that solves your doubt. Can you give a rough ideal timeline that you can follow? Okay, yeah. This is also another great question. So I'll go back to the timeline wala slide for this because I'll need help from here. Actually, no, I'll just Google it to get a more elaborate timeline. 2022 timeline. So okay, so like I would recommend you guys or you guys have to start on March 7th, when the list of accepted organizations are announced. So the like what I did last year was on this date when the list was announced, I actually went through the entire list. I actually went through their tech stack, and then first I short like listed all the organizations based on that tech stack. I have some knowledge on which I'm interested in. Second, like after short like listing them, I actually went through the project idea to know as to like whether I can actually work on it. उसमें मेरा कुछ scope है क्या? Can I learn something new from it, etc., etc. Um, and then after that, so this entire thing you have to do like between March 7th to March 10th. So like in the first 3 days you have to pick certain organization, and then and then, like you could just have to filter it out until you have three names in your mind, it could also be less, but like maximum three organizations you can apply to. So once you have those three names in your mind, then you can proceed to the next step, which is start contributing, start working on your proposal, and also start interacting with the project mentors. And also for that, each and every project has its own communication channel. Like Pukunit had said before, कुछ का Discord पे होता है, कुछ का Slack पे होता है. So you can go to the communication channel, and you can interact with them, let them know who you are. So like introduce yourself, then like just get in contact with them. Then you can directly start working on certain bugs and issues, because that is the main thing. Because like if you contribute to their code, then it will actually add value to your profile, as well as it will fix their bugs. And again, like by same repeated information ho gaya, but like so in short, like this like repeating it uh, again. So first 3 days may you have to filter out which organization you want to apply to, and which particular project you want to work on. Then for the next so that will be like on March 10th. So March 10th se leke up to the place where your results are announced, which is I guess on May 20th. So March 7th and May 20th tak, this entire period you have to like work on fixing issues, and simultaneously up to April 19th, you can also work on your proposal, and proposal ko regularly refine karo, get it verified by your mentor and all that. But make sure that you do continue fixing issues, reporting new bugs, and staying in contact with them. So I guess that should summarize the entire flow. Isme there is not much else you could do, like apart from just communicating with them, fixing bugs, and yeah. So kind of that's like yeah, that summarizes it. Punit, you can also add something if you want.
Yeah. Also, don't. As Yathat said, whatever Yathat said was perfect. Like March 7th is the biggest date you need to be on the lookout for. But don't wait for March 7th. You can also try to do something before, like you have like 2 3 months before March 7th arrives. So what you can do is you can look at the previous year's organization. So you can look at 2021 में which organizations got selected. Most probably, it's not a guarantee, but most probably the organization which got selected in 2021 will also get selected in 2022. So you can try looking at their like current जो organization select हुए 2021 में, you can look at their projects, you can look at their ideas, and you can try contributing to them like right now. So you have a 2 months ka period. You can try understanding their code base, reading their code base, and try fixing their issues. So this gives you a head start, like 2 months ka huge head start you will get if you try like if you start like contributing to the project itself right now. And it's fine even if the so there's this question that arises that if the what if the organization doesn't get selected in the 2022 ka program. So it's fine, like the skills are always transferable. The skill you'll learn about reading code bases, fixing issues, communicating with your mentors and communicating with the community. These all skills are transferable. You can always transfer them from one organization to another. So and you'll have this huge head start of understanding and understanding about how to contribute and read the code. So I guess if you have time and if you are free, like right now or as soon as possible, you should start looking at the previous year's organization and like try to contribute to some organization which fit in your current tech stack.
Yeah, perfect.
I guess any other questions anybody has, you can write it in the chat or you can unmute and directly also ask.